Hey folks, today's episode is sponsored by airturn.com. Since 2008, AirTurn has been manufacturing wireless products such as Bluetooth pedals and multifunction remotes supporting hundreds of thousands of customers in over 40 countries. They have a wide range of products to choose from, including the AirTurn Go Stand, one of the best portable mic stands on the market that I use on this show on a regular basis. Head over to airturn.com and use the code Roadie to save 20% off your entire order. That's Roadie to save 20% off your entire order.
What's happening, Roadies? This is Robert Scovill.
And this is Chris Adamson.
All right, what's happening, Roadies? This is Carly Scovill, and you're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, Roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. What's happening, Roadies? Welcome to episode number 93. Today's guest is Carly Scovill. This is your host, Larry Milburn. And I am coming at you from a barn in Northwest Connecticut. It is still a cold barn. We have not quite warmed up yet or thawed out, however you want to put it. Anyway, how you guys doing? How was your week? How are things? It's good to be back. I'm very excited for today's guest, Carly Scovill, wardrobe assistant for the late, great Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Carly was out there on this last 40th anniversary tour, assisting Queenie. She is the daughter of Mr. Robert Scovill. You know him. You love him. Front of house sound engineer legend. Been on the show. Check out his episode if you have not. If you're joining us for the first time, we want to thank you for listening to the show, for tuning in. I appreciate it. I appreciate your ears being here, spending time with us here. We share stories and tales and inspiring lives from the road and from the world of the music industry. So thank you for being here with us. Those of you that have been listening, you know I've been talking about the All Guitar Network, brand new app, brand new channel being started by Joe Bonamassa, Norman Harris, and John Five, Tim Pierce, bunch of great guys asked me to join up. So we're going to be bringing some cool content to that channel, Roadie Free Radio stuff over at the All Guitar Network. And I wanted to put this out to you guys. I'm going to be posting some of the episodes from this show that we film. I'm going to put those up there. Some of those are already up there right now. You can go check them out if you haven't already. I have some ideas for some other stuff I'm going to do, but I want your input on the type of thing you'd like to see, because I'm not going to be doing, scales and guitar lessons and stuff like that. I want to do other stuff that keeps in sort of tune with what we do here on Roadie Free Radio. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff, talking to people about their gear, talking to folks about being on the road and whatnot, bringing what we do to that channel. But I want to hear from you guys. So let me know the kinds of things you'd like to see over at the All Guitar Network, and you can hit me up at info@roadiefreeradio.com. Kind of a quiet week this past week, not much to report, and not too much. Well, no, that's not true. There's a lot going on. I got a bunch of edits I got to get done, and I've got to shoot this week with a yoga person, 2 days shooting yoga. I can't wait. I'm going to be super blissed out at the end of that. So yeah, a few things happening, and we've got a couple of guests coming up. I can tell you who episode 95 is. It is Byron Isaacs, bass player Byron Isaacs. He's been with Ola Bell. He's been with Amy Helm and the Handsome Strangers, Levon Helm. He's currently the bassist for the Lumineers. Great guy. Already did the episode. That will be coming up, episode 95. Super psyched about that. In the meantime, I've got episodes 94 and 96 I'm recording this week, but I'm just not sure who's going to be which. We got Danzer McCullough coming up. This was a recommendation from Night Bob. Danzer McCullough, front of house for Bob Seger, Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, Alice Cooper. Super psyched to talk to him this week. I've also got Amanda Ritchie, lighting designer for Betty Who, Janet Jackson, the Rolling Stones. She sounds like she's going to be pretty awesome. I'm just not sure when exactly those are going to happen this week. so I don't really know when they're going to come out, but one of them will be episode 94 before Byron Isaacs happens. All right. So stay tuned for those. I will let you know, and I will post those bad boys. For today's episode, we have, like I said, Miss Carly Scovill. Here's the deal. I met Carly both times that I went to interview her dad, or met up with her dad this past summer on the Tom Petty tour, once in Hartford, once at the Forest Hills shows in Queens and New York. And I thought, I'd really like to have her on the show, not only to hear her perspective of growing up with a guy like Robert and having him being on the road most of her life, but then, of course, what's it like to come right out of school and jump on a tour as big as this? I wanted to hear that. Then, of course, we know what happened with Tom's passing and everything. And, I circled back a couple of times. I wanted to give her space to get through this. It finally worked out timing-wise to have her on the show. So she did it, and I'm very, very appreciative of the fact that she decided to come on and talk about it. She is a graduate of the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco, where she currently resides. She spent a lot of time doing some visual production and design assistant type work. Very sweet gal. And I'm very, very humbled that she came on to talk about her experience. And I want to do more of this, get more of that younger view of things out there and how things work. And so couldn't be more happy to have her on the show. And it's also important to me to try to get more perspectives, right, from the same crew. So I'm not just talking to the front of house, but if I can sort of dive deeper into one crew and get a bunch of different crew members, and we can get different perspectives of that crew and what it's like to work for that artist and that organization, that's something we like to do. So by having Carly on the show now, I have talked to Chris Adamson, Greg Looper, Robert Scovill, and Carly Scovill. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good, round of people right there. We may get Queenie. Long time wardrobe person for Tom. I'm going to see if I can't get her on the show. And we'll see if there's a few others. Vic Wagner, as you know, systems tech. He helped out Robert this past summer. I'm going to get that guy on the show. So, Vic, if you're listening, if anyone out there knows Vic, I'm coming for you, man. I am coming for you. All right. So, listen, that's all I got for you today. It's a quick one. But please enjoy. Stay tuned. Keep an eye out on social media. I'll be posting who's coming up next for episode 94. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, I didn't say this yet. For all you folks listening, as you know, I used to record video myself doing the podcast intros for the YouTube channel. I got away from that for a bit, and I was just posting the full episode up there so you could hear it on YouTube if that was easier for you as opposed to SoundCloud or the website. I am filming today's episode of myself doing this, freezing in the barn. And if you want to watch it, just head over to the YouTube channels. There's a bunch of other stuff up there if you haven't seen it before. Would love a comment, would love a subscription from you, and a like on the video, whatever you need. Let me know what you think, man. Maybe I should stop. That's actually what I want to know. Do you want to be watching me do these intros, or do you want to just hear them on the YouTube channel and let me leave room for other content that's there? That's what I want to hear from you. All right. info@roadiefreeradio.com. That's where you do it. Larry, stop talking and just roll the damn episode already with Miss Carly Scovill.
Hit it. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
Carly, how are you? What's going on? Where are you right now?
I'm doing great, Larry. I am currently in San Francisco. This is where my home base is now.
Right. You went to school there?
Yeah, I went to design school out here about 2 years ago, so I've been here about 4 years now.
Cool. You like it?
Yeah, I like the weather here. I grew up in Arizona, so I've gone from, 100-degree weather to 50-degree weather. Good chunk of time, so I would choose this pretty much any day of the week.
I know, it's a nice mix. I lived down in LA for a while, which is kind of similar to Arizona, that dry heat thing. And a lot of my friends from the East Coast that moved out west, they preferred to go up north to San Francisco because I think it still had a little bit of that, East Coast flavor in terms of the, climate, but it had a West Coast vibe, which is certainly very cool. And it's just a great town. A lot of good food.
It is. They're just walking around the city. You can walk into pretty much anything. There's so many different little neighborhoods. The weather's perfect. I haven't found really anything to complain about yet.
Yeah,
So,
good.
yeah, it's great.
Good, man. So we'll get to the whole Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers 40th anniversary tour and your experience with that. But tell me a little bit about going to Fashion Institute of Design and what you're working on now.
Well, the Fashion Institute was an amazing experience. Definitely one of the hardest experiences I've dealt with. You kind of take school for granted a little bit and learn how much work it really takes to put into projects. There were quite a few sleepless nights and all-nighters to try and get projects done, but I met some of the greatest people there. I still keep in touch with a lot of my professors, a lot of my friends there. I've become so close with some of my professors that I work with them on a regular basis. It's just a great place to meet people, and it puts you in real life experiences to work on projects as if they were your job.
Yeah.
And I think transitioning out of it was a little bit interesting because it's not about your grade anymore. It's like if you fail on a project, you lose the job.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
Learning how to deal with that is a little bit interesting, but the program that I was in set me up to do so many different types of projects. I've worked on photo shoots and done fashion styling. I currently the company that I work with, it's a small local design business, and we put up Christmas trees during the holidays. And last night we just took down a local mall's Easter display. So, we do so many different things in my major that I was in for school.
Yeah. What was the major?
It's called visual communications. Okay. So it ranges from store display designs to fashion styling to event production, which I've gotten to dabble in a little bit. So it just sets you up to have skills in so many different areas.
Nice.
Which has helped me be able to adapt from all different types of gigs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a cool program, and it's short and quick and fast-paced, but I would recommend it to anyone who's up for a challenge and wants to learn about design.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you know early on, like at a young age, that sort of expressing yourself visually and whatnot was something you wanted to get into? Was it design? Was it clothing? Or no?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've been interested in this since I was a little kid, and I remember growing up and drawing little fashion sketches, and I thinking they were so awesome, and then getting into high school and realizing, okay, I do not want to design clothes. This is terrible, but I love art and I love design. And this program was great because it focuses on so much with visual design and doesn't do anything with clothing design. So I was like, this is perfect. I don't have to do that part that I have no interest in, but I can learn about all these different areas that I didn't even know had design aspects to them. So
right.
I think growing up in an artistic family helped that. I mean, everyone in my family has some weird sense of artistic design to them, and we were allowed to express that super freely and super creatively.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome. Well, the nice part about it too is like, you just said you do Easter stuff, you do store installs and all this kind of stuff. So you're doing a lot of different types of things, and you get to bring sort of the full breadth of your skill set to each new job, because you don't really know what it's going to be, and you gotta perform.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done some of that small event work, and getting to bring design into that with setting up different props and displays, and then doing Easter and Christmas work and incorporating different production aspects into it. So you get to learn how to adapt all your different skills and kind of show different areas of that in each job.
Yeah.
And everything is not just simple, flat out, this is what it is. There's always something else you get to bring to it, something you get to learn, something you don't know how to do. And I think that's the cool part about all this industry of design and creative aspects is everything has more to it than we think it does.
Right. Absolutely. Who are some of the folks that you look up to now? Like, who are some of your mentors now kind of helping guide you through this?
Oh my gosh. One of my professors from the Fashion Institute, the one that I work with on the local design projects, his name's Ed Dahl. He's been one of my dearest friends on this journey, and he's helped me learn how to adapt my skills into all different areas. And we're still very close friends, and I always look to him for work and advice on when I'm taking new work, on how to incorporate my skills into that. And my other big mentor right now would be Linda Bircher, who was the wardrobe mistress on Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. She was my mentor and who I assisted. She was amazing, and I've known her for a really long time. And to get to work with her now, it's completely changed the aspect of our friendship and mentorship.
Yeah, so, I bet. Have you gotten to work with her now outside sort of post-tour time?
I haven't worked with her outside of the tour, but she lives in Santa Cruz, so I've gone down to visit her, and we still stay very close. So she has called me asking if I had interest in other work and staying in touch in that way, but also just staying very close friends and getting advice from her on how to continue forward with things. So
yeah, I imagine that a lot of members of the Tom Petty crew are an extended family just by virtue of the fact of growing up with them for the last 12 years, 15 years?
Yeah.
How long has your dad been with them? 20?
I think he's been with them about 20, 22 years.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's like most of your life.
Oh, yeah, that's my entire life.
That's your entire life, right.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember walking in on the first day of rehearsals for me and just recognizing a few people, and it's just awesome to walk into a place that I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. I've never done anything like this before. I don't even know what to expect in terms of what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
And seeing those familiar faces, it's like, okay, this is going to be fine. Like, I know some of these people. I recognize these people. And then to become friends with them in my own way, not just as, my dad, and we've grown up together, but you're my friend and you've got my back and I've got your back. And now we get to work together. The dynamic has changed, and I appreciate all the people that I've gotten to meet through this experience and still keep in touch with.
Sure. Yeah. How could you not keep in touch with them after such an amazing run, right? I mean,
absolutely.
So, with a lot of folks, I talk about, kind of growing up and where they grew up and childhood interests and stuff like that and what their parents did. We obviously know what your dad did for a living. Tell me about growing up. What'd your mom do?
My mom was an awesome creative who's kind of dabbled in all sorts of different projects. She stayed home with us most of the time when my dad was touring, but she's worked for Balloon Basket Company and done cool baskets and magic things. And she's worked at local craft stores. And she's just an incredible person who can interact with people. Mm-hmm. So she worked in customer service at one of my friend's lawnmower shops in Arizona. And she worked there for quite a few years. And she just has an amazing way of interacting with people, making people feel comfortable, and still bringing her creative aspect to things.
Nice.
So, yeah, absolutely.
And you're not an only child. You have a sibling, right?
Right. I have two younger brothers.
Two younger brothers.
Yeah. So they're 3 years younger than me and like 7 years younger than me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was great. We've had some weird, mischievous adventures growing up, and I think now that I've gone away to school, we've been able to get closer. Yeah. And they came out on the tour to visit quite a few times, and just getting to experience that was awesome. Yeah. I didn't get to experience as much with my youngest brother growing up because he was 7 years younger than me.
Sure.
But this has allowed us all to get a lot closer and just be weird together. That's what families do, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I imagine it must have been a trip for them to come and visit sort of, dad and sister out on the road, right? That must have been very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. My youngest brother came out for a couple days to New York at Forest Hills, and he plays the bass, and getting to see him on the stage, he kind of took over with sound check, and just getting to see him experience things at an older age now. Both of them really getting to see both of us work in this environment and how we interact, and absolutely, seeing them get to experience it firsthand with a little bit better understanding of what's happening, I think was a cool experience for them.
I bet. So let's talk a little bit about growing up and having a dad who's away. A lot of, conversations I have on the show are with, working engineers and whatnot, and just people on the road, and this is their life. And I'm not quite sure with you if this is a track you want to go down in terms of this. You want this to be your life, to go on the road, but we always talk about that work-life balance. And in fact, it was your dad who sort of first, told me that, that he and your mom have this like 3-week rule. There's, no longer than 3 weeks, they got to get together, sort of a thing. And I thought that was cool. And so I like to ask other people, what they do. But from your perspective, what was it like growing up the daughter of a roadie, basically?
Yeah. It's weird. I don't remember a lot of it. I think I remember parts of it as if just remembering like, oh, my dad's the coolest person ever, like not really understanding what he did, the scale of what he was doing, but just knowing like, I've got a cool dad. He's got this really great job. He gets to travel. If I get to visit him, we sit on a bus and there's snacks, like not really understanding exactly what he was doing, but
the characters.
Yeah, just there's weird people, there's nice people. We get to sleep in a bunk on a bus, like noticing other things that aren't really the cool parts. They're cool, but it's not recognizing what he's doing and the scale and quality of work that he does. But I just remember him being gone for long periods of time. And then when we got to see him, it was just the coolest thing ever. Just understanding as I got older how important it was what he was doing and just how awesome the type of work that he was doing, and appreciating that in a new way. I appreciate what I got to enjoy on this tour was understanding what exactly he did, and seeing him interact with people that I've never met, and then him introducing these people to me, and just the amount of people that I met through him. Like, this guy knows everyone. This guy's a big deal. Yeah. And he's my dad. Like, more importantly, that he's my dad and has taught me so much through touring life and outside of touring life. So
was there a point as you got older, like, when you hit your teens or something, when you would go visit him, or you kind of really that sort of the moment where you're like, oh, this is what dad does?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the funniest things that helped me realize what he did and what a big deal it was that he did that was I had a friend in high school who came up to me and was like, your dad is Robert Scovill? It's like, why do you know my dad? You're 17 years old. Like, I mean, he was into sound, of course, so he had a reason to know who he was, but it was still very odd for me. Yeah. Like, why do you know this? Why do you care about this? But as I got into being a teenager and visiting him at a couple local Arizona shows, or we'd drive to like Los Angeles and go see him, getting to be a part of it more firsthand and sit in front of house and actually see what he did. And even still, I watch him and I have no idea what the heck he's doing. And understand exactly what's happening technically, but just understanding how he correlates to the gig overall.
Sure.
I think getting into high school helped me understand that and want to understand that too. Want to know what exactly my dad even does.
Yeah.
So.
He talked about in an interview, which I can't remember where I read the quote, but I brought it up with him when we met in Hartford. I said, there is a quote that you said, because he took a break for a bit, that was something about how, when you guys were asked what your dad did or something at a school thing, and it could have been you since you're the oldest, your answer was something about how, my dad works at the airport, because you were spending so much time dropping him off and picking him up at the airport. Do you remember that?
I don't remember saying that, but I remember him talking about that, and I'm pretty sure that was me. Yeah. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, thinking about how often we went to the airport, dropped him off, came back, picked him up, and how frequent it was also. Yeah. I remember him telling me and my siblings that we thought that he worked hysterical. At the airport. Yeah.
Was it tough not having a dad around a lot?
I think it was tough just because I felt like when I was younger, I didn't get to develop my relationship with him as quickly as I would have liked. But I think it allowed space once I got into high school and once I got a little bit older to develop a deeper relationship and not just, he'll always be my dad. He's always been my dad, but now we're friends and now we get to talk about things more intimately and deeper. So even though it was a bummer not having him around as much, I think it worked out in the way, and like our relationship is so strong right now that it happened the way it needed to. Yeah. So, and thankfully and not thankfully, I don't remember as much from my childhood. So it's like, I don't really remember him not being away or not being there that often. It's like, okay, well, he did this thing. I was there and now we're friends. So kind of worked out.
Did you ever have a sense when you'd go visit him or whatnot and you started realizing what he did and you're on the bus and all that kind of stuff, you're seeing shows? Was there ever a feeling from you at that point like, this looks pretty awesome. Like, I think I want to do this.
Funny enough, I didn't ever think about doing it myself. I kind of always thought this would be cool to do, but I have no idea how I would get involved in this. Like, I don't know what my outlet is. I have no musical technical skills. I mean, I play music or I am able to play instruments, but I don't know anything about sound. I don't know anything about video or lighting or tuning guitars or touring. Like, I didn't know how I could incorporate into that picture. Yeah. It's like, this is really cool. This would be a fun thing to be a part of. You get to travel all the time. You get to meet nice people. But I never saw how I could fit into that. So I just appreciated it for what it was. And that's kind of where it ended off. It's like, okay, it's fun to sleep on a bus and get to hang out with people all the time and do work, I guess. But that's cool. That's a cool thing. But I'll never I've never thought about how I get involved into that, I guess you could say.
How did it come together for you? How did this opportunity arise?
Well, at the end of school, when I graduated in 2016, towards the end of the year, my dad said that he was going to be, or he was pretty sure there was going to be a tour the following year, and he was going to be doing that. And I was thinking, I knew Queenie, Linda Bircher, the wardrobe mistress, and I had just done a bunch of wardrobe and styling work at school, and my mom actually came up with the idea of maybe seeing if I could intern for her, just come out for 1 or 2 months or a couple weeks or just a few gigs just to see kind of what she did, what her job looked like. And so the whole idea started as an internship, really unpaid gig, like kind of just hanging out and learning the ropes, but nothing more than that. Yeah. And I think following that, it kind of turned into a more permanent position, working in wardrobe, and it became an actual job. It wasn't just an internship anymore. It was like, okay, you're going to be on the crew and you're actually going to have real responsibilities.
Did you know that before you went out?
I knew that before I went out. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing. Yeah. I knew I was going to be helping Queenie, but I didn't know exactly what that job entailed. So I kind of went into the job just with a really open mind and a big uncertainty of what I was really going to be able to do. Yeah. yeah, the first week of rehearsals was definitely a little scary of just, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm even going to be doing. So just having an open mind going into it of, okay, anything could happen. I have no idea what this looks like, but that allows the most space for interesting things to happen.
Yeah, right. Was it just the two of you, just you and Queenie?
In wardrobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the two of us, and we had a local production or local wardrobe assistant at most of the other gigs. But as we got down to the end of the tour, I think we learned like, okay, we don't really need the extra help. We got this.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit to get situated, and then towards the end, I think we had it figured out pretty well. So
my only sort of brush with what you did in that whole thing. I mean, obviously we met in Hartford briefly when I was interviewing your dad, and then we met again at Forest Hills, night 2 of Forest Hills. But my only sort of brush with your world there was when I did the interview with Chris Adamson in one of those dressing rooms that you guys set up, and where it was like, oh, there's a whole other village sort of back here, right? And it's all set and ready to go, and it's super comfy. And then I went to go do something, maybe take a picture or something, and I think it was Queenie who was standing by the washing machine and dryer in the flight case. And I stopped and I was like, is that basically a washing machine in a flight case? She was like, yeah. And I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. I want that.
Yeah,
they should sell that.
Right? Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, most tours don't do that. This is a pretty, or maybe they do, but I remember her talking about when she was touring with Def Leppard, and that was the first time she had seen that. She was like, I got to get this on all my other tours. This is great.
Yeah.
Because not all venues have local washing machines. You have to go out and do laundry. Or if they do have washing machines, they dump like the bleach and the softener all in automatically, which is really risky when you're washing, really expensive clothing. Yeah. So yeah, setting it up, I know it was a pain, and a good chunk of the crew did not enjoy having to deal with the washing machines. But it definitely saved our life on quite a few shows of, okay, we got to wash this now. We got to get this done. So
yeah.
And seeing, there was one show in particular, I can't remember the venue, but the washing machine and dryer was set up in the video world. So they had the video guys kind of next to each other, and then the washing machine like tucked in the back, and we'd have to go in and out of their little area. So yeah, it always ended up in the weirdest places.
Yeah, I bet. Tell me about your sort of pre going on the road, the pep talk or the advice, if you sought it out or if it was given to you, let's say from your dad. Let's start with your dad. Okay, Carly, this is your first tour. Here's what to do. Or was it super hands off from him? And you're going to be with Queenie. Go figure it out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing he said was stay grounded and stay connected with your world outside of the tour, because it's very easy to go on tour, to get super stoked and wrapped in that, and to kind of tear away from friends and family. It's easy to get disconnected from that. And his biggest thing was stay connected with your friends, call them, check in with them, because when you get back from the tour, you're going to be kind of thrown back into normal life again, and it's not going to feel like you're normal anymore. The tour is going to become your normal, especially being out for 6 to 8 months. You know how long tours can be. So his biggest advice was stay connected and comfortable with your outside world, because once you get back, those are the people that are going to help you get connected back in. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing I remember from him. And also just pushing yourself to make new friends. And I already knew a few people from the tour, but I was able to become a lot closer with them being out on the tour. And I made an effort to talk to everyone that was on our crew at least once, just to get to know people. And we had a big crew, so it was hard to remember names, but I think doing that helped me make a lot of friends, make connections, and I still keep in touch with quite a few people. So that was the biggest advice, was more just how to stay connected and
outside.
Connected outside. Yeah. Important to get connected inside because you don't want to be alone the whole time. You want to be able to interact with people. You want to, like, I did spend a lot of my days off by myself just because I like to go out and explore and do things. But then towards the end, I started to make more friends, and it was like, let's get coffee, let's get dinner. And that's how you get to know people and get to interact with people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was more, all the advice was with connections and connecting with people.
Right. And what about from Queenie? Did she, in the beginning, during that first week of rehearsals, sort of say, all right, here's what we do. Here's how this is going to work?
I don't remember specific advice about touring from her, but she showed me how to do everything in rehearsals. I had a little notepad that I carried around and jotted notes down, and this is how Benmont liked his case, and this is how Mike likes his case, and how to keep things separated and organized, and we do laundry this way. And she was so detailed and giving me every ounce of information I needed that by the second show, I think I had it down pretty comfortably. So she's an amazing person to learn from, and just funny and friendly, and makes it very easy to get comfortable in the situation.
I imagine, a lot of these folks, and, we'll go band specific. Maybe you got to interact with them prior to this tour, just by virtue of the fact of your dad working them for so long and being around it for so much. Was it scary? Was it different? Was it nerve-wracking? All of a sudden now you're like handling their shit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had interacted with Benmont once before. I went and visited my dad in New York on a tour 8 years ago or so, kind of right before I went into high school. And I had interacted with him, and it was friendly. It was nice. It helped me realize what a great group of guys the band is. But then coming into this and realizing, I have to take care of their stuff and make them look good and make them as comfortable as possible. And if it doesn't go right, it's on me and Queenie. So realizing that and learning how to become more confident even in attacking that, because when you go into it with lower confidence, it's easy to kind of stumble and mess up and feel uncomfortable and awkward. So learning how to have confidence in that definitely made it a lot easier to do things right and interact with them in a way that was approachable and helped them get their stuff together the way they needed it.
Yeah. And I'm sure they kind of looked out for you as well because of who you are. And, were you the only other newbie coming into the fold for this tour?
I don't think so. I think there were a few other, maybe one or two other people that hadn't toured before. I was definitely like one of the big newbies just because I was 21 and never toured before and hadn't been working in gigs before with music or I had done event work and I had done wardrobe work before, but this was like full new experience. So I think there might have been one or two other new people, but for the most part, our crew was pretty seasoned.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, yeah.
And did you find everybody to be pretty open and helpful to bringing you newbies into the fold, or was it a bit of that also, like, well, you'll stumble and fall and you'll figure it out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it was a mix of the two, but I'd say pretty open. I remember like the first day of rehearsals, Queenie took me around and introduced me to everyone that she knew. And then we started to get to know people that were newer to the Tom Petty tour specifically. And everyone was super open, super kind. And if you need anything, let me know. And just willing to help, but also being realistic of like, it's hard and it's going to take time for you to get used to this. And you're probably going to mess up a couple times, which I did. And that's how you learn how to get through it.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest sign of that for me was towards the end of the tour, Queenie had a family emergency and had to leave for three shows. And so I was doing her job for 3 shows. And it was like, okay, this is the woman that's been with these guys for 35 years.
Wow.
And now it's my job to do a good job and do well for her. And everyone else on the crew was just so sweet. And if you need anything, let me know. I can do laundry. I can help you out with things. Like, everyone on our crew is just so nice and willing to help and make sure everyone succeeds, because it's not about us. It's about making the guys look good and doing a good job for them. So everyone's willing to help get the job done.
Was there a moment in the tour, or what was the moment in the tour, when you got to take a breath? And I'm talking about, the run of the whole thing, the 8 months or whatever.
Okay.
Where you got to sort of take a breath and look around and go, this is fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much every day. I mean, I think there were quite a few times where I was doing things and then it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. This is the coolest thing ever. And I'm 21 and getting to experience this. And I think pretty much every show, every day, I was trying to focus on that and remember that. And I kept a journal throughout the tour and just would go back and be like, I did that, or I got to experience that, or I got to watch someone experience that. And I think working in wardrobe and working with Queenie, we got to see a lot of the behind the scenes with the bands, just because we were working pretty directly with them.
Yeah.
And just even that was like, oh my gosh, we did that every day for 8 months. It's just such an incredible experience. And I tried to make it a point to feel that and experience that pretty much every show, because it is a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
What the heck am I doing?
Yeah. And realizing that you're not in a van with everybody, right? You're rolling with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
So you're pretty lucky in that regard. You get to have your own washer dryer in a flight case.
Yeah, exactly. I think the washer and dryer was the big one of okay, this is not normal. This is pretty special.
Any sense during the whole thing that you were like, oh yeah, I'm in, this is going to be, I got to do this again? Or did you really feel like, you know what, this is a sort of summer fling and it is what it is?
Towards the end of the tour, I started to realize okay, I could do this again. I don't know if this is my forever thing, like my dad. I don't know if this is something that I could make work forever. And I think I got pretty spoiled coming in on this tour just because everyone is so nice and it's a family. And
you need a van tour.
Oh yeah.
You need one of those next.
I do. That's what one of my school mentors, she did some touring stuff and she said to me, "Oh, you've been so spoiled. You're never going to be able to do this again. You need to go on a crummy little tour where you get scrambled eggs and that's it for breakfast." And so
if you're lucky, they're scrambled.
It's a toast or something.
Yeah.
No toaster. So I got really spoiled and am very lucky that this was the first thing I got to experience. So I would love to do another tour. I think it would just depend what it was. And yeah, I've always been very open to it. Who knows if it would be a forever thing, but definitely I'm always trying to be open to experiences, and that's how you gain cool things from it.
Absolutely. I'm going to put you on the spot. Favorite band member? Who's the one you bonded with the most?
I don't know if I can say this on radio. I'm going to get in trouble. Honestly, each one of them at different times I got to bond with and laugh with. Benmont was the first person I got to talk to ever, so I think that kind of gave us an immediate bond. Mike was the one that I think I got to talk to the most, and we bonded quite a bit. We'd have our little coffee time on one of the wardrobe cases and talk about art and music. And Scott was one of the ones I got to laugh with the most, and he trusted me to pick out his shirts every once in a while, so that was pretty special. And Steve was pretty hilarious and knew how to act sassy and challenge me in my job, but was always super kind and sweet. And Ron was always one of the nicest people and always made sure to have a conversation with me. And I always appreciated that he would go and talk to like our local assistant and just go around and talk to different people. And I didn't get to interact with Tom too much because Queenie focused on him. But I think the coolest thing I got to experience with that was at the end of the tour. On the very last show, when he was walking out, he turned to me and said, "Thank you. I really appreciate you." So that was just a cool thing to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did not get to interact with him too much, but just to have that appreciation was great. And then the Webb sisters were probably. I think I got to interact with them the most, just because we were the little girl group, and yeah, they are just weird, hilarious, awesome, kind people who have so much energy. So we had some pretty fun interactions with them, and I still keep in touch with them a little bit. So they're great. All of them have their own thing going for them, but they're all just the most genuine people I've ever met.
Yeah.
So.
What an incredible experience. You know, I usually end up talking sound and whatnot on the show. So I'm going to try to take another little deep dive if it's even worth it. When, you know, the guys had a look, there was obviously a look, as there is for every show,
Right.
For every tour. Tell me what the sort of, for the fashion conscious folks listening, tell me what the vibe of this show was. Was it talked about? You know, what was the directive?
Ooh.
Mike had sort of the floppy hat, boho-y thing going.
Yeah, honestly, I think they pretty much channeled what they do pretty much most tours. Like they just stuck with their classic looks, and maybe that's what the look was. Is it's the 40th anniversary tour? Let's stick with what we know. Let's bring our A game. So, I think it was pretty consistent to what it's normally been.
Okay,
but. Mike always had his hat, and the scarf was the big thing. Is which scarf are we going to do with the look? The scarf and the vest. And I think that was the big thing. Ben and Scott often had their fedoras and would rock those. And then Ferroni, I think the best thing about Steve was he does this great combination of linen button down and sweatpants. And he would often have us iron his sweatpants. And and so that was just the ongoing joke of the tour is, here comes Steve with the sweatpants, time to get ironing. So, but he always made it look so good. It was comfortable chic. So I think everyone just kept with their classic look, but it's awesome seeing how the looks kind of transition throughout the tour and get more classic and adapt to their personality and what they want to show. So.
Awesome. How was re-entry for you after this whole experience? And obviously it was bookended by, you know, Tom's passing and whatnot. So not your normal re-entry.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Re-entry was interesting, and it definitely took a little bit to get adjusted. I, throughout the tour on our breaks, would go home back and forth between San Francisco and Arizona. So that already made it difficult enough, and I wasn't going home to a consistent city, which I have family there, and then I have my family of friends here that I stay connected with. But re-entry was very odd. I mean, I believe Tom passed barely a week after we got home. And so, I remember waking up and getting a phone call from our production assistant saying that he was in the hospital. And that was the day that I was flying back home to Arizona from San Francisco. So it was just like, okay, here we go. So
wow.
Re-entry was very odd. And I think it didn't get normal or comfortable until like November, December at least. So
I bet. I mean, a lot of figuring out what the fuck just happened.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And then what are the next steps for that family?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a big reunion for his passing, which was really special and incredible, getting to see everyone and getting to feel everything that we needed to feel. And I think one of the not big shockers, but the big things for my family was flying home and seeing how it had affected my entire family. Even like my younger brothers who never met him or didn't consciously meet him.
Right.
Seeing how it affected my brothers and my mom, and especially my dad, who is friends with this man of some sort, and seeing how that affected my family was a huge realization of this is a really big thing that just happened. And then getting together with the whole Tom Petty family, with the crew and the band, and just getting to celebrate Tom and realizing like, okay, we don't know when we're going to all be together and see each other again.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to talk, like even towards the end of the tour of, well, maybe another tour will happen or a small group of shows or something will happen and we'll get to see each other again.
Yeah.
And the next time we gather is after he's passed, and realizing like, oh, I don't know if we're going to see each other again. So the crew has a ongoing chain email now in which we interact with each other. It's probably like 300 emails now back and forth. So I think the cool part about that was it brought us all together even more, of people that have been with him for 30 years, people that have never toured with him ever, and all of us in this one area getting to interact and check in with each other and support each other through that.
Yeah, it must have been hard to see your dad through some of this, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Realizing, like, this guy's been touring with Tom for 20 years, and I didn't know that they interacted as much as they did. I got to see that more on this tour of my dad would go on the bus and talk to Tom before the show maybe not every once in a while, maybe every show. I don't remember, but he would go and interact with him, and coming home from San Francisco to Arizona and seeing like, okay, this is really affecting him. This is not just the passing of an acquaintance that he talked to every once in a while. This is someone he worked for and lived his life for 22 years and has been integrated into our lives as well, me and my brothers, and my mom, really. So
were you a fan of the music before going on the tour, like a fan, or was it just ingrained in your blood?
I wasn't really, I mean, I liked the music and appreciated it, but wouldn't call myself a fan. I heard so much of it growing up that I never took the time to listen to it. I mean, I remember hearing parts of Learning to Fly just on repeat over and over and over from soundcheck. It's like, okay, I'm never going to be able to hear this song again.
Yeah.
But after going on the tour and hearing the music and being like, oh, this is actually good. Like I'm pretty open when it comes to music and getting to appreciate it now, knowing the guys a little bit and getting to see it live. Okay, this is good music. I can appreciate this. But my dad has had this ongoing joke forever of once you go on the tour, you will never be able to escape the music. And so everywhere you go, you hear Tom Petty no matter where you go.
Yep.
So when Queenie and I had seen each other again for the first time after the tour ended and after Tom passed, and we met up in Santa Cruz, we had walked into this like deli together, and the first song, the radio wasn't even on. The first song that comes on is You Don't Know How It Feels. It's like, okay, thank you, Tom.
That's a little message, right?
Freaky, yeah. So it just follows us around, and even some of my really close friends now out here say that it happens to them. They came and visited and saw one or two of the shows, and now it follows them So, yeah, it's been this ongoing joke for years that I never believed my dad, and now I'm experiencing it to a T.
That's awesome.
Hear somebody every single place I go.
He told a story during our interview about, because he did Def Leppard, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, so I think maybe he was with Def Leppard and then he jumped to Tom or something. Somehow the position opened up with Tom, and he was like, Tom Petty? And he said he went to their warehouse or whatever rehearsal spot, which just looks awesome. By the way, you can't see it, but that's my screensaver.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh God, it's totally escaped me. Sam Jones, the photographer, filmmaker. He took this photograph of Tom during, I think, one of the sessions a few years ago for an album. And Tom's laying on the couch in that warehouse, and it's my desktop screensaver, whatever. And I look at it every day, and every day I see another instrument that I didn't see, or an amp or something, and I'm like, oh my God, what is that thing? But anyway, he talks about going there and them playing rehearsals, just jamming, basically for like 3 days. And he's like, at the end of he's like, they never repeated a song, and it wasn't originals. It was all cover tunes. It was just them sort of warming up.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, they would just call something out. They'd never played it before, and they would just do it. And it was amazing. He's like, and it was all stuff basically from my childhood growing up that I was like, oh my God, I'm never leaving this gig. Why didn't I do this gig sooner and 20 plus years later?
Yeah, absolutely.
So coming out of this thing, Carly, favorite Tom Petty song?
Ever or from the tour?
Okay, right. Let's go tour. Okay,
what songs did we have on the tour? That's the real question. Crawling Back to You, I think, is my favorite from the tour.
Yep.
That might even be my favorite out of all of them. I don't know. I think that's got to be my favorite, though. And I think what triggered that was my dad was doing his sound check, virtual check fancy thing that I will never understand or know. But he had Benmont's piano part from the beginning of that song and through the song playing by itself.
Wow.
And, I already had appreciated him as a musician, and that just amped it up like 50,000 steps. So definitely that's got to be my favorite from the tour. Favorite ever? I don't know enough Tom Petty songs to do that.
You know what's awesome, though, you said about virtual sound check, is your dad explained it to me in Hartford on the bus. I was like, okay, sure, that sounds great. And then we went out to the house. He's like, yeah, you should stick around for sound check. I was like, yeah, obviously I'm going to stay for sound check, man. So I'm in there in the booth thing with him at front of house, and he like starts playing. I'm kind of like, where's the band, dude? Like, when's Tom coming out? When do I get to see Tom? And he's like, no, this is it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What is this? And he's like, this is from the previous night, and this is what I do. And I was like, they never show up? He's like, no, they haven't been here in years. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. This is awesome. Exactly. Once you sort of get what he's doing.
Absolutely.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely, I think you have to experience it to really understand what he's even doing. And I remember him telling me kind of the story of how it all came. He was doing something like that or trial running it at some point, and apparently, I could be getting the story wrong, but apparently Tom was in the back and had been watching the whole thing, and Tom saw it and then was like, oh, good, we never have to come in again. Like, you got this figured out to a T.
And apparently he said something like, they only pay me to sing once.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that was it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing that he does, and I think you have to experience it to really understand what the heck is going on with this virtual sound check. So we had someone, maybe it was a local assistant or someone else that said the same thing of like, when's the band coming out? Like, I want to see the band.
Right.
This is what it is now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So having done it, are you already itching for the road again, or are you good for a while? Or do you want to sort of encapsulate it in its little place in your life and leave it.
Yeah, I think more recently I've been having a little bit of an itch to go back out. I miss the traveling and I miss working. I miss the type of work that I was doing. I mean, I loved getting to do the wardrobe stuff and dressing rooms and just interacting with people. I just enjoyed that so much. And so after the tour, I was like, okay, I'm done. I need a break. Like, this was fun. I enjoyed this. This will be one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. But I think I'm okay with this for now. And now recently it's like, okay, this was fun. I could do this again, I think. So I have kind of encapsulated it into its own special moment and experience in my life, but now it's like, okay, maybe I could encapsulate another experience.
Right.
Like, we'll just put these in little chunks here.
Yeah. How did the experience shape or change or inform your own sort of personal artistic creative thing and what you want to do?
Oh boy, that's a hard one.
Were there things that you learned out there that you're like, oh, I'm putting this in my little Scovill art bag?
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest thing for me is how to interact with people and how to stay connected with people. One of the things someone had said to me on one of the last shows, like, if you want to do this again, just remember, like, it's 5 or 10% talent and 90% kindness and attitude. And people are going to want to work with you again if you're a nice person and you do a really good job. But if you have a really terrible attitude, it's going to push you down in the ranks. So just remembering to have a good attitude when you're working, because you can be really, really talented, but if you're a sucky person to work with, no one's going to call you back. So kind of finding the balance of the two of those things has helped. And especially with all the event work that I do, we interact with so many people, crew people, guests, all different people that are vendors, and you just interact with so many people in life and in jobs. And that's how you keep getting jobs back, is keep the connections, keep the kindness going, and show people that you're good at what you do.
There are a lot of people on a big tour like that. Were you like, the first time you sort of saw the whole army moving, were you like, holy shit?
Oh, yeah. I think the thing that surprised me was like I had seen people at rehearsals, but I didn't know who was going on the tour, who was staying, who was local people. And then once we got like our itinerary and had gone out on the tour, it's like, there are a freaking heck a ton of people on this tour. Who are all these people?
Yeah.
And it's like a guessing game, trying to learn who everyone is, what their job is, what their role is on this tour. So it took a really long time to get to know get to even know what everyone's names were and what they did.
I'm sure.
But then seeing just how many people it takes to do this thing, it takes a lot of people. So
it was amazing. I didn't get a full scope. I'm trying to remember who opened in Hartford. Oh, Joe
I think
Walsh.
it was Joe Walsh, right?
Yeah, it was Joe Walsh. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get a full sense of the amount of people in Hartford.
Mm-hmm.
But at Forest Hills, that second night, because you guys, that was also the second night, so you were leaving.
Yeah.
Wrapping out of that place, loading out. Oh, my God. It was like an army.
Yeah, it is.
It was crazy.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it is crazy. And that, I remember that one was one of because all the trucks were kind of out in the open and everything sandwiching where it was getting loaded. I mean, it was just a madhouse.
It was crazy. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, it was crazy. And some of the bigger shows, like the ones that we did at the baseball stadiums, those ones, I mean, those are crazy. I think it was Seattle when we played Safeco Field. They had our catering area, like an upstairs area with a window where you could see the stage being built and the load-in area. And you just realize, like, there are hundreds of people doing this thing, and most of these people aren't even our crew. Like, our crew's huge. Right. But then you see how many local hands work on these things and venue people. It is just an enormous amount of people putting in effort for this.
One night.
Yeah, for one night. Yeah.
One night, come on out, get it done. See you later.
Oh yeah, especially those the baseball field ones where they spend 2 or 3 days building the stage,
Right.
and then it's like, okay, it's done. We did the show 2 hours.
Yep.
We put all the work in for 2 hours or 4 hours, and then it's done.
Craziness.
Yeah, people don't realize it, but they appreciate what they get to see most of the time. So
Right, exactly. Carly, I want to thank you for doing this. I know I chased you for a while in the fall, and it wasn't the right time, and I wanted to be mindful of that and give you your space to process everything that had happened on both levels, the tour and then Tom's passing and everything. And so I really thank you for coming back around and being on the show and sharing your tale with us. It means a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad this finally worked out. I think it just needed to be the right time, and we found that right time.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and I will I'll be in touch. We'll see you out there.
All right. Thank you very much.
Carly, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show. Folks, listen, I'm not sure who episode 94 is going to be with, but we're going to find out together when you follow Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube, all as Roadie Free Radio. Check out the website, roadiefreeradio.com. Send me a note because you know I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. In the meantime, my sweet friends, y'all be safe out there. No roadies, no rock and roll.